the fear is, what does this mean about lots of other words that we use all the time and are now considered an ablest slur, whatever that means? I don't know if you can explain it to me, but go on.
Yeah, Dan, we're living in very strange times. I'm sure many people watching this have read the book 1984 and are probably sick of people referencing it over the past few years. But this is quite literally what is happening. This is an assault on the English language, a narrowing of the language so that people are no longer able to express and communicate simple concepts, because somewhere out there could be somebody who maybe is offended, or more likely pretends to be offended on somebody else's behalf. And that is certainly what seems to be going on here. I mean, if people are going to talk about offensive language in music in general, and hip hop and rap and R&B music in particular, perhaps, then there are many, many more words that we should get to before this one.
That's what I couldn't believe, because it's like, by the way, I don't want to censor hip-hop, I don't want to censor rap. I'm not offended by it at all. But why did Beyonce so quickly bow to the mob over this one word? I mean, literally, it's a big deal, Zuby. You know, you're a rapper. It's a big deal for an artist to actually re-record a lyric and re-release it. And she did that within about 24 hours.
Yeah, what's really interesting is the exact same thing happened with Lizzo just last month, just a few weeks ago. The exact same word, which is spaz, which means going crazy. It's slang for wilding out, going crazy, that kind of thing. It's been used my entire life. I've actually never heard anyone take any kind of offense to it at all. And I think in many of these cases, it's just a handful of people who want to make noise and want to draw attention to themselves and use this as a weapon to go after people, even if it's celebrities. And I think every time someone caves to the mob, number one, they are admitting that they did something wrong. I mean, there's nothing, she didn't say a slur. She wasn't attacking anybody. Even if she were, that's actually still allowed, but that's not what the case was. But every time this happens, it emboldens them. So next up, there'll be, someone will say, oh, that was dumb. Oh, I think that person's being a bit of an idiot. And boom, next thing you know, they're getting canceled for saying the word dumb. They'll say, oh, that's, that some people can't speak. That's offensive to people who can't speak, and so on and so forth, right? And it never ends until there are no more words left to describe anything.
Well, indeed. Because we were speaking about this earlier in the office, Zuby, and Crazy in Love, arguably one of Beyonce's biggest hits. What, is she going to have to rename that? Because you can see that the word crazy has other connotations too. And that's the problem. Where do you end if you go down this path?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and the word love, maybe someone is offended by the word love. Maybe there's someone out there who's recently heartbroken, or someone who's gone through a tough time, and the word love upsets them and triggers them. So there's no end to this.
Do you think Beyonce should have stood firm and just said, I'm an artist, this is a word, it's got an explicit warning, you might be offended, but I'm not changing it? You think she should have stood firm?
I think she should not have even responded. If she was going to respond, I think she should have said, no, I'm not changing it. But I think she could have simply ignored it, and the mob would have faded away within 48 hours, because I don't believe anyone was genuinely offended.
No, I agree. And you know what happens now, Zuby? Every record company, every manager, every recording artist around the world now puts that word in the little don't use pile, and we don't need that.
Yeah, what was interesting about that clip you played is that there was another word repeated multiple times that's it's not a grotesque. It's not a grotesque slur or extremely profane, but it's a little bit more profane than the word that she got than the word that she had to change. So there's no limiting principle here.
As I say, I just think the irony when in these rap tunes, the N-word is spouted on a sort of every second line basis. I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised by Beyonce, to be honest. And I think you're right. I think she should have held firm. But thank you. That was the author, rapper and social media star, Zuby.